So with this project, we're going to be doing an ink drawing of some tulips, kind of inspired by real tulips as well as this drawing. So when you're starting your tulips and you're drawing, a lot of times what I'll start with is just my, kind of simple shapes, which for these could be like ovals, just to kind of plan out where each of your flowers are going to go. So I'm using kind of a light pencil like a 4H or a 6H. Just to kind of plan my flowers, because you don't want them to be too close together, and also a lot of times you want to have odd numbers of flowers just so it's not all bunched together. So once you have that overall shape, then you can kind of start planning out each of your petals with like little ovals, not getting too detailed. So this is just an overall idea, and then after that I would start coming in and adding my details, kind of looking at how much space is between each petal. And then after I had all my petals kind of detailed out, which I won't waste your time watching me draw the whole thing, then I would start kind of planning out my stems and my leaves. And you don't have to do exactly what's in this picture. Like this has a lot of leaves going on, so you could decide if maybe, taking out one leaf, just having a few leaves. And then after you have your drawing, then you can transfer onto your watercolor paper using transfer paper, or you can use a 6B pencil on the back of your drawing and then put it on top of the paper and trace over it, and that'll put your drawing onto the paper. So I already did a different drawing earlier and transferred it to my paper. So once you transfer it, then you can start filling it in with ink. So I would recommend one of your smaller pens, Micron pens, to start. Like this is an 03. You could also use like an 05. Those are nice and small. So I normally start by just very lightly just outlining everything I drew on there. And you don't want to just blindly trace over, because sometimes we end up going over things we didn't actually want to be on there. So you still want to try and follow your reference picture or your drawing as you're trying to outline. So just very lightly, and then if you mess up on something, you can always just go over it again. Having some, thick lines and some thin lines adds a lot of variety to your artworks. It makes it really interesting. And then once I had my flower outlined, then I would start coming in and doing the little bits of shading. And when I'm doing this, I want to make sure I'm going with the shape of the petal. So, because see how this side of the petal is curving down, so I have my lines curving down. This line is going this direction, so I want my lines curving that way. And it's always good to have a little bit of a shadow at the base, just because it gets a little bit darker down there because it's away from your light. And you can decide how many lines, how little lines you want to do for that. And then once you had all of your outlines done, then what we would start doing is layering over it with our watercolor.